Hi and very good evening, everyone. So today again, as I said earlier yesterday, that I'll be taking five more questions, which is related to epidemiology and vital statistics. So let's start, and let's complete these questions within 10 to 15 minutes, right? Okay. So the first question today, which is question number six, because five questions we have completed yesterday. So if you take this question, and as I said, all these questions has to be answered based on the interpretation of the question, and we have to draw inference from the questions, right? It's very easy. Now in these questions, in a six-membered family, right? So we have six-member family, right? There are two parents, so a six-member family. We have two parents. Let me write two parents and four children. So we have four children, right? And four children are in the age group of between 2 to 6 years. Okay. So two parents, four children. One of the children, which is 3 year old, is completely immunized. So out of four, one is completely immunized, right, for his age. Whereas the other three, so we are left with kids, three kids are unimmunized, right? Okay, so we have interpreted it based half of the question. Now we'll see on 12th August 2006, one of the latter got measles. Means out of three who have not been immunized, so out of three, one got measles on 12th August 2006, right? So the remaining left is two. Again, the question says two other siblings also got measles by, so this two left also got measles by 18th August. Now, what is secondary attack rate? Now, students, so we have the information from the questions. Six-member family, two are parents, they are adults, so probably they will not develop any measles. Four children, and we have this information that out of four children, one is completely immunized, so this child will also not develop measles. Now, there are three kids who are not immunized, so these three kids are vulnerable to measles disease. And then we come to know that on 12th August, one child developed measles. So this child is my primary case, right? And subsequently, after 6 days, what we see, the other two child out of three which is left, they also got measles. So this two child is my secondary case. So out of two, both the kids developed, both the kid developed measles. So 2 by 2 into 100 I do, it becomes 100%. So my secondary attack rate is 100%, right? Now, what is the most important thing in secondary attack rate? Secondary attack rate, secondary cases out of vulnerable population into 100. One thing which we have to remember, the primary case I'm writing here, should not be part of denominator, neither it should be part of numerator, right? Primary case should not be part of denominator, it should not be part of numerator. Now if I just take the inference from the question, six kids, if I draw here, two parents, four kids, they are immunized, so they will not develop measles. These four kids, we come to know that one kid is immunized, so I am left with this three, and then I come to know that one out of these three, one developed measles. So this is my primary case. Now, just because of this primary case, subsequently, the number of kids who are vulnerable now is only two. These two kids develop measles on 18th August. That was the question. So primary case, as I said, it should not be included here. So it will be 2 by 2 into 100. Primary case should not be part of numerator, it should not be a part of denominator. So here secondary attack rate is 100%. Okay. The only catch in this question, always whenever the question is asked about secondary attack rate, is primary case should not be part of numerator, neither it should be part of denominator. Okay. Okay. Now, if I take another example, normally what happens? There are six-member family. Now you have two parents, right, and four kids. Suppose these four kids, they are unimmunized, right, and I come to know that one of the kid developed measles. So this happens to my primary case, and what we are left with? Three kids. Subsequently, I come to know that two kids develop measles. So this is my secondary case, right? Now here, so one is left. So here, if I ask you what is secondary attack rate, so here will be 2 out of 3. These two people, children developed measles out of this 3. This is not a part here, and this is not a part of here also. So 2 by 3 into 100, so here it is become 66%, right? So this is your secondary attack rate. Okay. Let's go to the 7th question, which is the most easiest question. What is the question saying? As I said, we have to interpret from the questions. So we have 5 lakh people in a community. So let me write, okay, 5 lakh people. And in this 5 lakh, we come to know that 100 deaths has happened in a year. Okay. So in 5 lakh, 100 deaths has happened. In this 100 deaths, 10 deaths is due to pulmonary TB. Now they are asking what is proportional mortality rate. This is the most easiest question. So there has been 100 deaths. In these 100 deaths, what is the contribution by TB deaths? Which is 10. So what is the percentage? 10 by 100 into 100. So it is 10%. So proportional mortality rate here due to TB is 10%. Simple. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next question. Question number 8. Now, this is also the easiest one. In an outbreak of cholera in a village of 2000 population. So we have a population of 2000. 20 cases have developed, right? 20 cases of cholera. Okay. Out of this 20, they are saying 5 have died. 5 died. So what is the case fatality rate? So case fatality rate is if 20 people are suffering from cholera and 5, just a second, and 5 have died. So what is the percentage of death out of total disease? So 5 by 20 into 100. So it becomes 25%. So case fatality rate is out of the number of people suffering from the disease, how many people died. So here 25% is my case fatality rate. I'll also give you a classic example of rabies. We all know rabies, if any person develop rabies, there will be 100% mortality. So in rabies, if 100 people are developing rabies as a disease, all will die. So what will be the case fatality rate here? It will be 100%, right? And opposite of case fatality rate is survival rate, right? So we can say survival rate is equal to 1 minus CFR. Okay, 1 means 1, or you can also write 100 minus CFR if you are taking percentage. Okay, so this is about question number 8. Let's go to question number 9, right? And let's try to understand this question, and we'll also try to, this is a classic example of a cohort study, and the question, if I see here, they are telling us to calculate population attributable risk. But what I will do, I will try to start right from incidence, relative risk, attributable risk, and population attributable risk, so that we can understand in one question everything, how we can measure it, how we can calculate it. Okay, now let's take 100 individual are diagnosed with lung cancer. So we have 100 people suffering from lung cancer. Population given is 1 lakh. Okay. Okay. Out of this 100 patients, 80 are smokers. The moment I see this information, so the next interpretation I make, if 80 were smokers, so 20 out of 100, 80 were smokers, so 20 were non-smokers. Okay. And 20,000 were smokers in total population. So they are saying in 1 lakh population, 20,000 were smokers. So if 20,000 were smokers, what will be the non-smoker population? That will be 80,000. So we have the information from the question. Now they're telling us to calculate population attributable risk. So I'll not calculate population attributable risk now. I'll just start from the scratch. So population, they are saying 1 lakh and number of disease developed is 100. So in 1 lakh, we have 100 cases. So what is the incidence? So in 1000, how much it will be? So it's simple, 100 by 1 lakh into 1000. So it is 1 per 1000. So this is my, can I say this is my incidence in population of lung cancer, right? We have calculated this. Okay. Now, if I see how many in 1 lakh, how many people were smoking? 20,000 were smokers, right? So out of 20,000 population who were smoking, 80 developed lung cancer. It is given here. So can I calculate incidence in exposed group? So incidence in exposed group will be 80 by 20,000, and we can also multiply by 1000. So I will get incidence in exposed group, right? Now the next part is, can I calculate incidence in non-exposed group? So 80,000 were non-smoker. In this, how many people developed lung cancer? 20. So can I write incidence in non-exposed group? 20 by 80,000 into 1000, right? So we have this incidence in non-exposed, we have this incidence in exposed. Now I need to check about relative risk. So incidence in exposed out of incidence in non-exposed. So what we have to do, we have to put the values only. So 80 by 20,000 into 1000 divided by 20 by 80,000 into 1000. I'm not going to calculate this. This is relative risk, right? What is the attributable risk? Attributable risk will be, as I said, incidence in exposed minus incidence in non-exposed out of incidence in exposed into 100. So what you can do, you can calculate 80 by 20,000 into 1000 minus 20 by 80,000. I'm just putting the values, and here you can put 80 by 20,000 into 1000 into 100. I'm not going to calculate this. Now, what is the population attributable risk? Which is the question. The question is saying population attributable risk says that I want to know the attribution of the risk factor in the entire population. Attributable risk says what is the attribution of the risk factor in the exposed group. Here it says what is the attribution of the risk factor in the population. So I have already calculated incidence in population. From this I need to subtract incidence in non-exposed out of incidence in population, and this is 100. The formula is same. The only thing which we use here is incidence in population. And if you remember, incidence in population I calculated it was 1. So 1 minus 20 by 80,000 into 100 divided by 1 into 100, right? This is my population attributable risk. Now let's do certain calculations so that we come to know the exact value. If I cut into 3 hairs, 3 years, I cut here, so I get incidence in exposed 4, right? And if I cut this 3 hairs and I cut this here, so I get 1 by 4. Okay, so if I put here 4 divided by 1 by 4, so it is relative risk is 16. So 16 times more possibility of developing lung cancer in those who are smoking. Now, if I put the values which I've calculated, 4, minus 1 by 4 out of 4 into 100, so it will be roughly around, if you calculate this, it will be 93%. Now, if you calculate here, so attributable risk is 93% here. So if you remove smoking as a risk factor, you will be able to reduce the lung cancer in exposed group by 93%. Now put the population attributable risk for values 1 by 1 minus 4 by 1 into 100. So it is 3 by 4 into 100, which is 75%. Now take this value, take this value, and take this value. Relative risk in this question happens to be 16. So 16 times more possibility of developing lung cancer in those who are smoking. Attributable risk is 93%. So if you remove smoking as a risk factor, you will be able to reduce lung cancer in the exposed group by 93%. Now what is population attributable risk? 75%. Means if you remove smoking as a risk factor, if you remove smoking as a risk factor, you will be able to reduce lung cancer in the entire population by 75%. So there is a difference between population attributable risk, there is a difference between attributable risk, and there is a difference between relative risk, right? I hope it is clear. The question was only talking about PAR. We would have easily calculated that, but I wanted to start right from the incidence, relative risk, attributable risk, and population attributable risk, so it becomes easy. Okay. Now the last question for today, the question is saying let's calculate maternal mortality ratio. Now whenever students ratio comes, the only thing which you have to remember is numerator is not a part of denominator. Okay, so maternal mortality ratio, what is the formula? It is the maternal deaths out of live birth. So live birth is a separate entity, maternal death is a separate entity, and generally in India or globally we are expressing maternal mortality ratio per 1 lakh. So per 1 lakh live birth, how many maternal deaths? So this is the formula for maternal mortality ratio. Now coming to the question, there are 2500 live births, okay, within 6 months. During the same period, 5 women died due to peripartum infection, maternal cause. 5 died due to electrocution. Let me think about this. 2 died due to obstructed labor, correct. 3 died due to PPH. So the only catch in this question is, should we include this 5 women who died due to electrocution? No, because this is not a maternal cause of death. So what we'll do, this 5 women who died due to PPI, peripartum infection, will include. 2 due to obstructed labor, 3 due to PPH will include. So total 10 pregnant women died due to maternal cause. So 10 out of live birth is 2500, and you are expressing that into 1 lakh because maternal mortality ratio is generally expressed in 1 lakh, right? So if I cut 5, 5, 5, 2, and here it 5, it goes 200. So it is 400 maternal deaths per 1 lakh population. So this is the answer to this question. So the only catch here, once again I am putting, you need to always use maternal causes deaths out of live births because it is a ratio, and you are expressing this into 1 lakh. And here only I'll let you know the sustainable development goal, or which says that there are 17 goals, we all know. The third goal happens to be health. And this 3.1 target is to reduce the maternal mortality ratio to less than 70 per 1 lakh live birth by 2030. Okay, so this is my maternal mortality ratio target, 3.1 target. Now India, current India MMR, maternal mortality ratio, sorry, just a second. Yeah, MMR is 97 per 1 lakh live birth. So, and this data is of 2018 to 20. So, we have 10 years more. We need to reduce this to less than 70. So, this is the way the interpretations are done and data are used, which helps you to understand the concept of different programs also with regard to maternal. So if our maternal mortality ratio is 97, we need to come down to less than 70. So what are the government initiatives which are taken to reduce maternal deaths? Of late, if I ask, the best example is Suman, Surakshit Matritya Aswasan. So this is the latest program which has been introduced, which focuses on zero tolerance policy on any preventable maternal deaths. So this is the way you can coordinate and integrate different concepts, and it becomes easy for us to understand. So I'll stop it here, and the remaining questions I'll be taking it tomorrow. And if you have any doubt, please let me know. If you like my presentation, like my way of teaching, please subscribe my channel and and also press the button so that you can get notification. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.